Okay, guys, coming close because we've got something really important to talk about. Bit more. Okay. Listen, right? It's 2025. Why in the 21 years since it came out has nobody ever made a full digital dashboard based on the customizable one that you can get in Need for Speed Underground 2, let alone any other video game? Think it's time we finally fix that and make something super cool in the process. You can back up now. Great. Now, as anybody who's been following this channel for a while will know, this is actually the reason that I started Garage Tinkering, because I wanted to make this full Need for Speed inspired digital dashboard, and there was like nothing out there for it. Also, at the time, I had no idea how to do it. But over the last 12 months, I've been on a personal journey of development and, had to figure out how to code and put the actual design of the gauges onto various different displays. I've had to figure out how to do canvas sniffing for the first time and extract the data I wanted from the car. And I even had to go and figure out how to design the PCBs and the hardware and everything that I required, because there was nothing that fit the form factors I required for my 350Z. It's been a huge journey of discovery, and right now it's like the middle of December. I'm a couple of weeks, I reckon, away from finishing all of the design and all of the interconnectivity of all of the gauges, with everything from speedos and mini maps and basically everything you've probably just seen in the introduction. This is going to be so good. Man, long time coming. So step one, hardware. What am I using? Well, in order to do this, there are 6 screens going into my car, 3 large ones, 3 small ones, and the large ones are all provided for me by Waveshare. These are the ESP32 P4 powered 3.4 inch and 4 inch screens. Being the P4 chipset, they are the most powerful you can get from the ESP32 ecosystem, which means they're really good for displaying these large screens. The smaller ones, though, were a little bit more of a problem, because anything that you could go buy off the shelf as an LCD drive board, like this ESP32 S3 one from Waveshare, they're all a bit too big. So when you pop them down on top of your screen, they're too wide. And if you wanted to put these smaller gauges into, say, a 60mm pod, they won't fit because the boards are too big. So I had to design and create my own. And that's what these are. I call them the ultimate gauge board. I'm pretty biased in that. But by creating them myself, I was able to integrate everything I would require to make my job really easy. So, for example, as we can see as they're connected up here, they have a daisy chain for both power and canvas. So we can feed power in and it will distribute canvas and that 5-volt signal throughout all the boards. So we can power it all from one spot and then just daisy chain everything through. These P4s have a problem. And the problem is that neither of them have canvas transceivers on them. So I need to create something that allows me to put a canvas transceiver on these boards. I have a bunch of these canvas modules that are really easy to link up. So what I need to create just to get this thing all going is a header board that can sit on the back of this P4, say around here, which will go into some of these pins and add a JST connecting canvas network. So this daisy chain that goes between my ultimate gauge boards can then just go straight into these boards and then continue along. It will make my life so much easier. So before we even think about design or anything, I need to get them sent off to PCBWay so that they can get them manufactured and sent back to me. Let's get a few little boards designed and sent off so they can do their thing with the manufacturing whilst I'm finishing up the design on these things. TechieCAD. No, I don't have time to sit around and do nothing and wait for things. I've got to get on with the design side of things because I have been working on it for the best part of a year. A lot of the design has already been done. This is what I've got so far. We've got the iconic tabby speedo gauge with a fuel meter. My car doesn't have NOS in it, unfortunately, so I've repurposed that NOS gauge as a fuel gauge. Got the mini map, which is just replaying a drive I've done previously, so it just shows what it would look like as a car drives around. And then 3 of the little gauges, which I've changed from what's in the 350Z originally. So got oil temperature, coolant temperature, and speedos/fuel. So these 2 fuel ones will share the same value. I had to make a bit of an executive decision because in the original design, you've got the speedo over to the right-hand side, then one of the mini gauges next to it, and then the map is over on the left. But when I put the main speedo in the middle and the map over to the left, it made the setup feel really imbalanced because of the size of the map and how, dense it is with information compared to the other gauge, especially then when you're going to put a less dense one on the right. It made everything feel left leaning. So I made the executive decision to put the map in the middle and then my 2 informative gauges either side. So I'll have the tabby on the left and then the cursory information, things like odometer, warning lights, all that kind of stuff that I still need to design over on the right-hand side. Right now, these look really good and I'm really, really happy with them. I think once they're actually mounted and up in the car, they're going to feel really like being in Need for Speed. But there's a couple of things that are still really important that I'm able to do. I need to be able to do some of the other designs on the gauge. Obviously, the tabby is the best one. That's not an opinion or something that's open to debate. The tabby is the best one. But also Griffin and Flames are really iconically cool. So even if in this first iteration, I'm just able to get those 2 extra ones in there, that'd be really cool. I need to design what's going on the right-hand side and what element of the game I'm going to take. So maybe I could use this Street X thing as the design for what it looks like, or maybe it'll be one of the menus and this kind of design. I haven't figured that out yet. So I need to figure out how I'm going to put that on the right-hand side. And I need to be able to do the color switching. So obviously when you're playing the game, you're able to switch the colors of all the gauges. I've implemented that already for this one tabby gauge. So the tabby gauge, you can switch the colors, but I need to make sure that flows through to all of this other stuff. And obviously as they're being designed, I do have to think about how the color affects them. So it has just one green background behind it, but it creates 3 or 4 different levels of green. So it's just different kinds of transparencies on the top layer over the top. Just need to think about that as I design everything. Even just creating these assets in Illustrator is going to take a fair bit of time because there's a number of things to consider, but shouldn't be too difficult, I don't think. Let's see if I can get some new designs on here. That'll be super cool. Can't wait. I can't wait. I just want to put stuff. Once I'm switching designs on here, that's it. It's game over, man. It's going to be the best thing I've ever done. So I've been working on this thing for a couple of days and I've got some really cool looking designs. I've got the tabby, the flames and the griffin, the most iconic 3. And what I think's really cool about the way this has been done with all the different transparencies is if you put a coloured background behind it, it shows in multiple different tones, which means we can now put these onto the gauge, which over the last couple of days, I've done that as well. So let me just boot it up and show you what we've got. Well, it starts up in Griffin mode, and you can see, yeah, we've got obviously the Griffin background and the ticks, which have been added as per the design, and the needle, which again is design accurate. I've put this little bit of code in so I can swipe and then switch to the next design. Flames, which actually uses the same ticks as Griffin, but has got a different needle. And then Tabby, which has got a different needle, different ticks. The arc is slightly different. And it's actually got this one down the left-hand side, which doesn't appear on any of the other designs. I'm actually going to be using that for oil pressure, but it'll really only show on the Tabby design. And I've already built in the color changer. So if I just upload a quick bit of code to simulate what it'll be like. There we go. This is how it is with a blue, well, a cyan background, yellow highlight color, and a red needle. And again, we can flick between them. So flames with the same color scheme. And Tabby's little difference to the rest of them, again, is that the mouth and the inner ear take the highlight color, which doesn't happen on any other design. So with that stuff done, that's basically this gauge complete. Obviously, I could go and create more of these designs, but I think for this first iteration, those 3 are perfectly good. But right now, it's Christmas Eve. And every Christmas Eve, I've got something that I do. So I need to go and do it. And then I'll finish this sometime between Christmas and New Year.
You know what? Fuck it. I lied. It's drum and bass. What are you gonna do?
So that little side mission out of the way and Christmas all over, I can get on with finishing this final design, screen number 3. So I want it to incorporate elements of Need for Speed Underground 2. It's not necessarily going to be an exact replica of one of the kind of UI bits, but it will have a feel that makes it at least feel consistent with the rest of the gauges. And the majority of the stuff that's going to go on this third one is the things that I'll require from a legal perspective. So I need to have an odometer, and unlike the video game, I need to have a check engine light and an ABS light that all work and function in the correct way. So I guess the art of this next step is figuring out how to incorporate these video game style designs and real necessity things like those various warning lights into a design that feels both cool and cohesive. But at the same time, maybe we can rethink the way some of those things are done. Like a check engine light might just remain a icon like it is in the majority of cars, but there are going to be elements of stuff that is shown on the dashboard that perhaps we can do differently. It doesn't have to be an icon. We can rethink it for a new modern design. So let's just start throwing some elements together and see what feels good. It's one of those weird ones where I won't really know until I start to see it, but when I see it, I'll know. It has been a number of 5:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. back-to-back days trying to get all of this finished before the new year, but it's there. It's basically complete. I use inverted commas because these things are never really complete. Something always finds its way through the cracks. But as we can see at the moment, we've got the Griffin design loaded on these gauges. I added this little extra arc at the bottom here, which is currently at 0. This one's going to show the battery level, but obviously the battery isn't hooked up at the moment. And not only is it on the large one, it's on the small one, and there's a couple of different variants of the design. There's one with the center and one without. And then on the auxiliary gauge, I've kept it really simple. It currently shows the full mileage of the car in full round miles, and then the trip in 0.1 of a mile, and that actually stores your base value. So when I put this in the car, I'll just set the base value to whatever my car's current mileage is. It's 151,000 and something, and then it'll just add and save the rest of the mileage on top of that. There are a bunch of safety icons on this gauge which are currently hidden because they're off, and I will show you all of these things changing and working. But I've got something I need to do before that, because at the moment, like I said earlier on in the video, these larger P4 gauges don't have CAN bus transceivers in them. So whereas these small ones do, and I can hook this up to a CAN bus simulator, and these all spring to life, pulling in the data from the CAN bus simulator and showing what they'd be like when they update. These ones, we can't do that because I can't put the CAN bus directly into them. But my mounting boards from PCBWay have arrived, so it's time to just solder these together, add CAN bus to this, and then I can show you the whole thing as it's going to work just before we put it in the car. Last step. I think we're going to make it before the new year. Unless something goes horribly wrong, which it very well might. Well, unfortunately, I was correct. And yeah, there was an issue. The CAN bus headers that I created for the P4 don't seem to work. Everything on paper suggests that it's correct. Everything is wired in exactly the way it needs to. But for some reason, it just doesn't seem to get CAN bus in the P4. I don't know. And to be honest, right now, I don't care. I just want to get this finished. So instead, I've Frankensteined together all of the boards with this like little array of CAN bus transceivers on this breadboard on the left. So we've got the 3 big displays, the 3 small ones, a CAN bus simulator, and a GPS simulator. And the GPS simulator is just playing back the coordinates of a drive that I've done previously. It's worth noting, before I power this up, that the CAN bus simulator is just spitting out range data from kind of like the min to the maximum value, and it's moving up and down through those ranges, as well as randomly turning on status lights. So everything's going to look a little bit crazier than it will when it's actually in the car, but at least we get to test it. All right, so let's boot up the screens and boot up everything else. And away we go. Okay, so let's break down everything that's going on across all these gauges, because, like I say, it's a lot. At the top, I've repurposed the nitrous gauge to a fuel gauge. There are 2 levels, the darker one, which is 0 to 50%, and then the brighter one that goes on top of it, which is 50 to 100%. It's the same 2-tier design that is in the original Need for Speed game. On the tabby gauge, we've got this one white one that comes around the outside edge. That's oil pressure. That actually only shows on the tabby design in Need for Speed. So by putting it there, it keeps it very authentic to the game. The RPM needle, my playback, I've obviously put way too slowly because it's ticking up kind of like one tiny little bit at a time. But yeah, the RPM needle is in the middle, and that just rotates around. This green bar at the bottom is battery. That's just come on. It's gone to 14 volts. and just stays there. And then we've got the speed in miles per hour over on the right. Obviously, if you wanted kilometers an hour, you could change that. Right now, the gear indicator is just neutral. It doesn't change. A project is coming soon to add that functionality in. And we got a bunch of warning lights. So I've got handbrake at the bottom, airbag, ABS, and check engine. They're just like coming on and off to show that those actually work. In the middle, we've got a GPS playback. Like I say, I recorded the drive and it's just playing it back. So this is kind of what it's going to look like as I'm driving around. And on the right-hand side, as well as having the total distance covered and the trip, you can see the status of the lights. So there's 3 tiers. One, when it comes on, when you've got the front and rear lights, well, that's first side lights and main beam. And then a full beam, which is a wider pattern. So there's a thin pattern at the front, and then there's a wide pattern at the front. There we go, which shows full beam is on. Just thought it was a little bit more interesting than just putting a icon that shows full beam. Then on the bottom, we've got the 3 supplementary gauges. So oil, temperature, coolant, temperature. They're both pretty simple. Fuel, which is the same as the fuel that's up above it. And speed, which again is the same. Otherwise, the only other thing is we can see that every 20 seconds, it just rotates through the 3 designs. Obviously, that wouldn't actually happen. You'll manually change those designs, but it's just showing that they all update. And basically, these 3 gauges all have design stuff. You can change the colors on this. That all works. You're going to have to wait until the next video for that, though, because doing that through the Canvas simulator is a rigmarole. It's really something that should be changed manually. So that's something we'll look at in the next video, because now that these are all done, they actually need to survive in my car. So over probably the majority of January, I need to take all of these, build mounting hardware, 3D printable enclosures, maybe some molding, probably a bit of CNCing. I don't quite know what it's going to entail yet, but I need to create a way of housing all of these in my 350Z. But at this point, from a software perspective, it is pretty much there. I'm sure I'm going to find some stuff over the next few weeks that I would like to improve, but overwhelmingly, I think this is pretty damn good. It really does feel like the Need for Speed Underground dashboard, while still remaining useful enough and legal enough for a real world car. Like I said at the start of the video, the large displays are ESP32 P4 powered 3.4 and 4-inch round displays from Waveshare. There is a link down in the description where you can get them. And these small gauges are my own ultimate gauge board. If you want to do all this in your car, I'm going to suggest that you go and get these gauges, not only because I know that the software works on them, because it's what I've designed it for, but it also supports me. Because like I said, I'm not selling this, I'm giving it away. So if you would like to support the channel and get some of these gauges, you can do so at garagetinkering.com. So I guess the most important question, now that I've done all of this, is which design should I be rocking in the car? Is it Tabby, Griffin, or Flames? Or is it one of the others that I should have done? Give me your opinions, let me know in the comments, and if you don't say Tabby, you are wrong. But you're allowed a wrong opinion. Oh, and this software, if you want it, is coming. It's not ready yet, but it will be soon, a month or so. I've still got a fair bit to do, but it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. Anyway, I hope you've all had a wonderful Christmas, New Year, and I hope that something good happens to you today. Have a wicked one, guys. I'll see you in 2026. Take it easy, peeps. Bye-bye.